American dirt track racing is typically seen as a strictly local affair. Drivers from small towns across the United States gather at their nearby dirt track to compete for glory, or sometimes attempt to climb the ranks with dreams of bigger fish. So one would assume including a dirt oval might be odd to include in the major series. But those who know about Knoxville know it's incredibly fitting. This Iowa track not only brings out drivers from this side of the pond, but from dirt racers all over the world. Today removes the cost of the expensive plane ticket, and anyone from around the globe gets to try their hand at this grassroots style of racing as we get ready to watch the majors Knoxville Nationals. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is Bill Suzan. Next to him is our good friend, Taylor Burris. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Ducky Beard. Taylor, this track is going to see a lot of laps turned, so why don't we tell the viewers a little bit about it?
Of course, and welcome everyone to Knoxville Raceway. This beautiful half-mile dirt oval located in Iowa is home to one of the biggest sprint car races in the world. Originally opened in the late 1800s as a horse track racing event, this race has been through many types of racing. From, of course, our famous Knoxville Nationals that started in 1961, won by the great Roy Robbins. To give you, the viewer, a chance to see what it's like to wheel a sprint car here at Knoxville, let's take you on board for a GSRC lap guide.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel. I'm Brian Yazlik, taking you for a spin on the dirt around Knoxville Raceway in the GSRC 410 wing sprint car. Without further ado, here we go. Dirt is all about that cushion. For the hot laps, it's going to be wherever that bank of dirt is built up. For today, it's going to be kind of right in the middle of that pack. Off of turn 1, turn 3 here, right in the middle, right in that sweet spot. Let the car hang out just a little bit, drive it straight off the corner. Now this is dirt. This is going to change. You can see I'm going to be all the way up here, and then you can really try and get a straight shot off. You can see guys hug that fence up there. Down here, you can get all the way to the bottom, but be careful because there's an embankment down there at the bottom of Knoxville, and it could really upset the car. Across the line, that's going to complete our very fast guide here around the Knoxville Raceway. I'm Brian Yazzik. Enjoy the show.
You see some quick laps around Knoxville Raceway. Going to be a lot of those laps happening, as we mentioned, with how quickly these sprint cars get around. Now, this race is actually sponsored by the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. Multiple sclerosis is an unpredictable, often disabling disease of the central nervous system that disrupts the flow of information within the brain and between the brain and the body. If you like to get involved with the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, you can check out nationalmssociety.org, or you can call their hotline at 1-800-344-4867. They'll be happy to help you answer any questions in whatever form you have them. With your help, we can all do our part to fight this terrible disease. And this one's actually kind of personal here at GSRC. Taylor, I know you've had some personal experience with this. Could you tell us a little bit about why it's so important that we work hard and chip in to try and see if we can figure out how to beat this disease?
Yeah, multiple sclerosis is not a fun disease to go through. My father's been dealing with it for many years. And just seeing how he's able to fight through it, he has his good days and bad days, but unfortunately sometimes this multiple sclerosis can just be very devastating, seeing him in and out of the hospital. So make sure you talk to your doctors to learn more about the symptoms about it. Just keep an eye on certain things. If something doesn't feel right with you, make sure to go check it out and learn more information about it if there is a diagnosis of it, because it can be very difficult to diagnose sometimes. So make sure to go check out the website, and I can't thank the Pacific Major Series to do this type of information.
Yep, definitely a great job by them to bring awareness to this. Now, we also have awareness needed on our points championship after Pocono a couple weeks ago. Things have changed a little bit. Bill, what's the situation now?
Well, there's a couple drivers making a move down at the bottom of our top 5. You see Lionel Callisto for Alliance Racing up 3 spots. and Matthew Thunhorse, his teammate, up there as well. Both those guys move into 4th and 5th. The top 3, well, they're holding station. Blake Reynolds, Christian Challoner, and Travis Worley. Travis having a great season so far. It's going to be interesting today as we have a lot of dirt ringers coming in to see how this shakes out. Let's quickly move down to the Pacific Majors, the Constructors Championship, basically the team championship. I know when you saw Callisto and Matthew Thunhorse getting in there for Alliance Racing, really no surprise to see them sitting at the top. They are just crushing it, and they have Fleischle in, Callisto, Bennett, Clement, and Thunhorse. And if we go down to the second place team, that's Kinetic Pacific. These guys are not only doing well here, they're doing well across the board on all the other regions. Dog Bear Racing, Red, Hold Station, Orthodox Racing, and Riding Shotgun. You can read the numbers right there. Let's go ahead and move to the Sportsman's class. And again, everyone's kind of cemented in spots, in place right here. Notice that of those drop racers, that Dick Mueller has no available drop races in the oval. See the little oval of the droplet? He's got a 0 down there, so he's going to need a good score here tonight. Fortunately, everybody gets into the this main event. There is no beast, there is no AM split here for this one. We have a large field, changed up a little bit on the format. Let's go down to the one that I like so much. This is the for the elderly guys. And Brian Bennett. You know, Bennett's at 6th in points overall, so the old guy's doing okay, and he has plenty of drop races going on down there. Jimbo Pfeiffer in this one as well. A couple guys swap positions down there. Wayne Hutchison for Dog Bear Racing moves up a spot, and Bob the Pastrami Beltrami moves down into 5th position, but he just keeps on the overlay also. Look at that. He also we have the drive Jimbo Pfeiffer. Looking out that he doesn't have a well, he does. Everyone's good with the drop races there. A couple guys with 0s for roads, but we're okay. So there you go, Joe. That should get us through for the rest of the night.
Absolutely. And well, it's not just tonight that we're worried about. It's not just the championship that we're worried about, but tonight's race itself. So let's go to the race info, the details of what we have in store. Now, this is around 11:14, so we're starting to get to the end of the season here with the summer starting to fade away. And this is the winged sprint cars, as you can see by our imagery. Now, the heats and the mains are going to be a little bit different. There you can see the heat races at 15 laps will not have cautions. The big thing to watch out for those is the top 2 will automatically advance to the A main. So it's going to be important to try and finish well within your heats. Everybody else is going to have to work their way through here in the Knoxville Nationals, what they call alphabet soup. The F, E, D, C, and B mains. Cautions are off on the F through C mains, and 6 drivers advance. The B main, 7 drivers advance. So if you get up to the B main, a little bit easier to work your way up into the big show, which is that A main. There you see at the bottom. That'll be 35 laps. It'll be the longest race of the night. Cautions will be on, though. So at that point, guys will be able to get a little bit of a break out there. So hopefully that all made sense to everybody.
This is a great, Joe, it's a great format because if you finish 1st or 2nd, you advance to the A main, and your night's done until it's time to really race for real. But how you finish in the other parts of the heat depend on how many of those mains you have to get through to get to the A main. So everything counts.
Definitely. And, you know, we always talk about how this series has a slightly different race format every time, different style of racing. Taylor, I know you've talked to me some about how much you love dirt racing, so you kind of come in to teach Bill and I a little bit of the ropes here. What are some of the things these guys might have trouble learning that's different from the pavement racing that's mostly been the focus so far?
Well, the biggest thing is that the dirt is always going to be changing no matter what. This groove is going to be changing, so people are going to be trying it upper towards the bottom, up towards the top, or right in the middle. It's just going to be so difficult to know how the car is going to feel and how the car is going to be able to set up through certain parts. Also, there's going to be forming a cushion up near the outside of the wall, so drivers are going to try to either avoid or use that to the best of their advantage to help work their car through the corner. And of course, the biggest thing we're going to be watching quite a lot is people being aggressive to make slide jobs to work past the competition. And it's just going to be a very fast-paced race. You've got to keep your eyes open on what's going on, because one small mistake can cost you.
There we see as the drivers wait for the clock to tick down. We'll get to qualifying in a bit. They do have a small practice, but they're not letting cars out on the track. If you're wondering what's going on there, because like Taylor said, the surface changes so quickly and so much, they're trying to preserve it even here during the warm-up. Drivers will only be allowed to get out for the qualifying. And then the heats, it'll start to tear up the track because that track is going to carry over. So by the time they get to the B main, it is going to be very, very rough. Good news is, when we get to the A main, from what we understand, they're going to be refreshing the track. So those guys will have the trucks go out, put some water on it, and get it all back in good shape so that it's as grippy as can be, with that being the longest race, with all the top drivers competing for the overall prize. Bill, we've watched one of these last year where they raced at Eldora instead, and in a different car. It was in the not the modifieds, excuse me. It's the the late models, excuse me, the super late models. That one, there was a lot of cautions that night. Do you think the guys maybe have had a bit of time since a year has passed to brush up a little on the dirt? Do you think we'll see a better show tonight?
I think the series organizers have had a bit of time to rethink the way we're going to run this. We're only going to have cautions on that main event, and that's fine. We have 35 laps. We can get that done. It's going to be really quick. I'm telling you, I went out and since I was doing this, I go, I should try this dirt thing to see what's going on in this new car. It's the first time I had to actually purchase it to do this one. You know, it was a lot like being amorous. You don't have to be good at it to enjoy it. Man, I had fun. I was all over the place, but man, it was so much fun out there racing, or at least trying to put in laps in these things. I love it.
I have to admit, I did a bit of the same when I was putting some footage together for Dougie Beard so he could get our cameras ready. And I thought, with the power that these cars had, I thought it was going to have a horrible trying to get around the track. But it was a heck of a lot of fun. I may not have been fast, but like you said, I took to it quickly, and man, you just whip the car around and go at it. Taylor, I have a feeling that these guys will see that there is a big difference on being fast. And one thing that I've heard talked about is that there's a lot of things you can do in the car that kind of need to be taken care of as the track changes.
Yeah, these guys can make small little adjustments, especially with the brake bias. Of course, you won't be using a whole lot of brakes with it, but there is certain small parts of the car where you can use to help make adjustments, whether it be to help make the car turn a little bit better, help the car to slide through the corners, and then, of course, just making sure that your steering capabilities are nice and smooth. You don't want that car too twitchy, otherwise you're not going to be able to control the car too well. So it's going to be very important to make sure that you have excellent car control. Otherwise, you're going to be spinning that car around and around all night long.
Well, we'll see who takes to the dirt and is able to race well. They've got a Garfield meme on the GRA sim car on Kinchlow here. Just seeing that for the first time, a bit amused. I'm not sure if they've had that the rest of the season on their cars, but that's pretty funny there for anybody who's familiar with that joke that tends to circulate online. We've got a little bit of time here, so we're going to take a little break here on the Global SimRacing Channel as the drivers finish up their drivers meeting, and then they will get to the track for qualifying. We'll be covering that here in a moment, and we'll bring you the first heat of the day in just a few minutes' time. Stick around. Welcome back to Knoxville, Iowa, here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Qualifying has begun. Drivers are getting out onto the track. Each driver is going to have 4 laps. It's their best lap that counts. And there's about 5 minutes that we'll have for this qualifying session. But as quick as these laps go, though, everyone should be able to get them in. The question is anybody maybe going to not put a lap in and put themselves at the back? Not really going to work very well since it's heats that advance. But, you never know what someone might try out there. As we watch Dick Mueller work his way around and the times tumble in, they're going to change very quickly here at the start, and then they'll start to settle down. James Taylor up at the top for the moment. Matthew Thunhorst is in second. It looks like he's not out on track, so he maybe has finished already. Is there much difference between your qualifying setup, Taylor, and your race setup?
There's a little bit of it, especially with the fuel issues. That's going to be lighting the car up a little bit, help the car to slide through the corners, and of course maybe some small aero changes. But other than that, nothing major changes as you would see maybe in other forms of motorsports.
So as they continue around, Taylor still has the top at a 15-1 right now. Travis Warling has moved into the second position, or second fastest, I should say. These won't be positions. These will just be qualifying times, and then they'll be split into heats seeded according to those times. Lawrence has the third fastest. Kinchlow very, very tight behind him. In fact, from third, fourth, and fifth, there is 4 1,000ths between them. So that top 5 is going to be very competitive. Looking at P9, one of our championship competitors, Blake Reynolds, and now he's been slotted down to 10th in the qualifying, though. Challoner has been his main rival this season. Challoner able to get a position over him at the very end of Pocono, helping to try and gun down the points lead of Blake Reynolds. Let's see what he can do here on dirt. Both Christian and Blake are oval pros here on iRacing with their black stripes, but that's on the pavement side. So let's see how they do on the slippery stuff.
Something tells me they'll do just fine.
Yeah, knowing them from what we've seen so far. They did pretty good in the Silver Crown, which is probably about as close as you can get when we went to Phoenix a little bit earlier this year. Both of them pretty much dominated this race.
What's interesting, this may be the closest they get to each other. It's right here during qualifying, because they could be split up into different heats and may not see each other again until the main.
Yeah, that'll be even more interesting if we don't really get a feel for how their pace differs between those. And looks like we do have one pro on the dirt side with us. Believe Cameron Dance has come in to join the party. And appropriately, an Australian. So, glad to see him joining in. We mentioned that drivers from all over the world come and race at the Knoxville Nationals. Australia, known for its significant presence at that track, as dirt racing down there is a pretty similar affair to here in the States.
I did not know that.
It is, yes.
Yeah, it's quite popular, especially with the sprint car style of racing.
And Cameron Dance now puts it on pole. So there we go. That black stripe coming in handy and right in the dying stages. 15.101, a good 0.08 over James Taylor. May not sound like much, but when you're going 15-second laps, 0.08 of a second makes a pretty good difference.
You know what, with dirt having not a small community, but not the largest of racing, this majors that is put on this way, it's kind of a breath of fresh air for these guys to come out here and mix it up a bit with a nice large field.
Absolutely. And like we saw with the Silver Crown, this could be a case of drivers being bitten by the bug. We heard so many of them say that it was so fun racing that Silver Crown, which is an underappreciated car, that they might want to go and try driving those some. And I think some have actually jumped over and joined in some of the official races there. With that, qualifying is over, so we're going to be getting ready for our first heat here in a second. We'll give you the starting order for that in just a moment as they get sorted out by the computer. And I think we're ready. So let's bring up our starting order for the first heat. Cameron Dance will be flanked by Blake Reynolds on row 1. Lynn Kinchlow will be 3rd, followed by Brian Bennett in 4th. Stephen Paulison starts P5, and Nick Kuhn will be 6th. Austin O'Neill starts 7th, with Gustavo Gianferrari in 8th, Vincent Laherbier 9th, and Bryce Roberts 10th. Bill?
Then you got Mark Redeker down there in the 11th spot. He's going to be inside of Jeff Schmeier. Yeah, there we go. In the Baker's dozen position, it's going to be Craig Wagner. And there's only going to be 14 cars in this heat. The last one outside of row 7, Christopher Sherburne. The goal here, to finish 1st or 2nd. That puts you in the A main. But your other finishing positions are going to determine which one of those mains you go to, how far away you are from the main.
Absolutely. And as we mentioned, a pretty fresh track out there right now. So in terms of that, and with not a lot of banking on this track, Taylor, what line do you expect we'll mostly see here in this first heat? Is it going to go to the low side, or will guys immediately run to the top?
It'll probably be a mix of both. We'll see some guys who have their setup best suited for running that bottom line run that bottom line, and then those who have their setup best suited for the outside line will have those ones running on the top of the line. But for the most part, these drivers will stick to the bottom, and then towards the end of the night, we will be seeing these guys work their way up towards the top.
Now, typically in the real world, when they have tracks like this, you can see there's a little bit of a ridge there on the inside that they're going to peel out on. That typically isn't the racing surface you may have noticed here in the pre-race. Now, in the real world, Taylor, I've noticed that they tend to put some paint down to show drivers where exactly it is. They don't have that on iRacing. Does it make it tough to try and pick out exactly how far down you can run it to that little lip?
Oh, most definitely. I was out doing a little bit of testing on this track, and it's very difficult to try and find out where that hump is before pretty much it'll just send you spinning around for the most part. So drivers need to be careful and keep an eye on how far you need to go down, because if you go too low, that curve will send you up and spinning around for the most part.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because that's something I found out rather quickly, that there is an inside boundary to this one, but it's not all that well defined.
Yeah, you pretty much have to search around with your car to find it.
I found it.
Well, hopefully nobody runs afoul of that here. They've had lots of time to practice for a couple weeks now, even. As the pace truck leads them around, we're going to go green this time by with Cameron Dance leading the way, our lone black stripe driver out in these 410 sprint cars. Beastly, incredibly powerful and loud machines. Heat number 1 is about to take off here at the Knoxville Nationals for the majors, and right away Cameron Dance does not dilly-dally. He gets off into the lead, and most of the drivers getting single file except towards the middle of the pack. That looks like Austin O'Neill and Stephen Paulison going to be side by side. This is a battle for 5th position. Looks like O'Neill's going to come out ahead on that. Stephen Paulison now under attack from Vincent Laherbier, looking for that, almost drifts up and in. Again, no cautions here, so these guys got to be careful or they're going to fall to the back of the pack very, very quickly.
I think we're getting a quick look at just how good Dance is, as he is well out in front. You know, poor Blake Reynolds, he drew maybe the best race driver out here in his heat. Right now, Reynolds is trying to hold off Bennett.
Yeah, very close fight for second. And this is important because remember, if Blake finishes in second, he's going to move up to the A main automatically and doesn't have to worry about getting taken out in one of the alphabet soup races later on. Bennett's trying all he can to get up to him, but right now just looks stuck behind that ride-in shotgun car.
Taylor, really clean so far.
It has been very clean racing so far. I'm surprised there has been no cars spinning out or making contact with each other. It's still a good battle, though, between Vincent Laherbier and Nick Kuhn, though. This is back in the 6th position. So these guys are still trying to work their way up, but it looks like, though, as Nick Kuhn makes contact.
And our first incident of the evening, Laherbier gets spun around. Oh, and he gets
that was his teammate.
Yeah, Gustavo Gianferrari. We're going to watch it one quick time. We don't have a lot of chance to get to these replays. Hopefully they don't have too much damage. We got very lucky. When these cars touch, typically it goes very, very wrong.
Oh, we lost one also. Kinchlow, who qualified in 3rd position, just put it in the wall. He was going the wrong direction. That happened during the replay.
We're We're going to watch this one real quick, and then we'll try and come back live. There's Lynn Kinchlow. Looks like this was in 3 and 4. Yeah, just lost it on his own, out to the wall, and, well, these cars also don't like to stay upright.
Brian Bennett's under fire right now from Austin O'Neill for third, but as Bennett now looks to the outside, though, of Reynolds.
Oh, they come together. Trying to catch it, moving up high. Brian Bennett collects the car, but not without losing the spot, as Austin O'Neill has now taken the final podium position here in the first heat, but that lost them a ton of time. Up to Blake Reynolds, who is going to be our last finisher to qualify for the A-main in this heat if things stay like this.
Oh, yeah, but O'Neill is coming, and he's coming with a head of steam. After he got around with using his elbows to get around Bennett, he is running down Reynolds right now. This is really important. This is a transfer position into the A-main that the number 66 is trying to hang on to.
Short track dirt racing here at Knoxville. You got to get your elbows out a little bit. You can't play nice, as Austin O'Neill now pokes and prods. Is he going to use the same sort of maneuver to try and get by? A little bit of a touch to the inside curve. Blake Reynolds drifts high. That's going to give O'Neill the second place. Now down to 2 laps to go. 3 laps to go, excuse me. Now we're down to 2. Cameron Dance is way ahead of this field.
Yeah, but O'Neill started in 7th. That's a name to remember. Look at this. The Reynolds not giving up the ghost.
White flag is out. Our leader still up at the front as Cameron Dance schools the field so far in his orange TTL number 409. Up and around 3 and 4, your winner for the first heat going to be Cameron Dance, who automatically advances, and Austin O'Neill works his way forward. What an incredible drive from 7th to 2nd.
Reynolds and Bennett go 3rd and 4th. Kuhn and Paulison 5th and 6th.
Redeker going to be 7th, with Jeff Schmeier finishing in 8th. Then we've got Gustavo Cianferrari 9th, Bryce Roberts in 10th. Moving off to the second page, we've got Clay Wagner, Christopher Sherburne, and Vincent Laherbier, with Lynn Kinchlow coming out last on the field. Let's go to the grid of the second heat, as the cars are now out there gridding up. James Taylor and Christian Challoner are going to be starting on the front row, so we'll see how Challoner does now that his main rival has gone through his first heat. Matthew Thunhorst starts 3rd, with Justin Johnson in 4th. Bill, what are the next 4?
Then we're looking in the inside of row 3. It's Dick Mueller, Steve Driscoll. It's good to see Steve out here racing. He's outside of row 3. Wade Hayes in the 7th position, flanked by William Fletcher. Taylor?
In the 9th position is Drew Lalonde, followed by Ryan Worley in the 10th position. And then rounding out the rest of our group is Tom Drelling in 11th, Chris Pence in 12th, Adam Young in 13th, and Daryl Slack in 14th.
And we've had a problem with poor James Taylor. The car turned on him a little quickly there, more quickly than he expected, and he can't find reverse. Do these cars have reverse? Oh, there it goes. All right, well, where's the pace truck? Because it's already in 3 and 4. So these guys got to hustle. They thankfully have 2 laps. They are letting James know that he is going to get a black flag cleared if he gets one for or all the other drivers, will get a black flag cleared for passing James for his unfortunate little incident there.
It looks like James got back up towards the front where he needs to be, so it looks like no penalties might be given out.
Real quick, before we get to the green, we've now had a full heat out there on the surface. What are you seeing right now with how the rubber's laid down and the berm is looking?
For the most part, it still looks pretty decent right now. No major grooves are showing, but still, give it time. Racing's still going on. We might see that groove starting to build a little bit more by the time it's over.
All right, pace truck peels in. James Taylor going to have control of the field. Hopefully he didn't get too much damage, as immediately Challoner slots into 2nd. Matthew Thunhorst gets into 3rd. Oh, but he gets a little bit of a tip from Justin Johnson, and it's chaos behind them as cars clatter into each other. little bit of connection issue for one of the cars. That's William Fletcher, who eventually finds his way once again. We got another car turned around. Ryan Worley on his side. It gets turned back over. He's going to try and get it going once again. Boy, a messy start compared to what we saw in the first heat. The second heat, seeing a little bit of attrition.
Worley got into it a little bit with Wade Hayes. Worley got the worst of it.
Christian Challoner, now having settled in, is giving chase for James Taylor, our leader. He's staying about 0.3 of a second behind that number 274. Justin Johnson has fallen back after his contact. Not really a threat for the moment. We'll see if he can find his legs and try to run them down.
Top two look pretty safe right now, although we still have 11 more laps to go. It's going to be a tall order for Johnson to get up there. But he's got a nice gap back to 4th and 5th.
And Challoner is getting closer and closer by the lap. It is now down to 0.2 of a second. This Workiva Kinetic car is certainly looking good right now, as we had a little blink from James Taylor up at the front. Here comes Christian Challoner. A little bit of a warning on race control from Mike Willett about the cars with bad connections.
Oh boy, Challoner got into the back of Sweet Baby James.
Justin Johnson coming into the play now after that small contact. They lost that momentum. This gives Justin an opportunity. Maybe look to the outside and take the positions.
Another attack looking to the high side from Christian Challoner. Let's see if he can do it. Utilizing the extra grip he can find. Works the long way around. Great stuff from the UK&I driver. He's showing Americans that it's not just over in the US they know how to drive on dirt.
Justin Johnson has that car left and right, and now with a good run, he really wants that second spot.
Yes, he knows this will get him automatically into the A-main. He's trying to work the low side. A little bit of contact with the Armco from James Taylor here on lap 9. Going to have to be wary of that. The car can climb it oh so easily if it touches the metal. So as they work their way through once again, Taylor managing to successfully hold back Johnson, who continues to try to poke and prod on the low side, seeing if he can get that one to work. But it just seems, Taylor, like there's no grip left down there.
No, there isn't. That's why they got to start searching. Look for that different groove to try to make the car stick through the corner. We're seeing them starting to work their way up higher and higher, but got to be careful, though, not to hit that Armco barrier.
And as these three have been battling, it's been a close fight back for fourth. Driscoll with that MS sponsor livery on him has got the other Workiva Kinetic car of Wade Hayes slipping all over the place. He drifts high, and that's going to give the position to Thunhorst, who slips into 5th. Oh, and Taylor, something happened to Taylor. He's on his lid. Let's see if we can figure out in the replay. Oh, he just went in a little too high, lost control, and the car hit the Armco and flipped over.
First time I saw him take that racing line, Taylor, up that time.
Yeah, it might have been not the good right time to get up that high. It looks like the track is still not good enough for the outside line completely. So he took that risk, and it cost him dearly.
White flag is out for Christian Challoner, the number 78. Didn't start in the lead, but he's got himself on the point now. Justin Johnson is going to follow him around to second place, it looks like, with a healthy lead of 3 seconds over Steve Driscoll. So through 3 and 4 for heat number 2 of the Knoxville Nationals presented by the Majors. Christian Challoner is going to take this one. Johnson is going to follow him through to advance. Driscoll takes second, Thunhorst fourth. Drew Lalonde is going to get a third, with Fletcher following him in. Things are shuffling around. We'll get the official results here once the session switches. It looks like everybody's through. Let's go through our finishing order. Challoner takes it, with Johnson following him through to the main heat, the A-main heat. Steve Driscoll in 3rd. Matthew Thunhorst finishes 4th. Drew Lalonde in 5th. Dick Mueller 6th. William Fletcher takes home a 7th place. Chris Pence, not the best day for him, finishing in 8th. Tom Dreiling didn't do too well today. He'll finish in 9th, with Wade Hayes coming home in the 10th position. Down to 11th, it's Adam Young. He said he was going to struggle today. Looks like he did here in the first heat. Daryl Slack 12th, James Taylor 13th, and Ryan Worley. Bad day for our former winner here in this series, 14th. Let's go to the grid now. Chris Borgman's going to be starting on the pole for heat number 3. Dallas Pataska will be in 2nd. Row 2 will have Lionel Kalisto in 3rd, with Richard Tam in 4th. Bill?
Clinton Day and Brian Grandin. Brian Grandin make up the third row with another Brian in there. Barnes in the 7th position. He's going to be inside of Ray Partridge. Taylor?
In the 9th position, it's going to be Adam Faspointita, followed by Ernie Ludwig in the 10th position. And then rounding out the rest of your field in the 11th position is Bob Beltrami, followed by George Angus in 12th. And then rounding out your 13-car field is James Stacy.
A couple ramifications when you want to talk big picture. Christian Challenger, unlike his main rival, Blake Reynolds, he's going to go straight to the A main. Reynolds still has some work to do. And a driver to watch out for is sweet baby James Taylor. He's going to be going, I think, probably down to that, what I guess would be the E main or the F main, whatever the last one is. But he's going to be fast. But because of that damage, he's got some work to do.
Alphabet soup might sound tasty, but it leaves a bad taste in the mouth of most of these drivers if they find they've got to swallow it. You can work your way back to the A main, but it is a lot more difficult, and there's so many more risks. One more lap to go as we follow the brand new iRacing pace truck around here. There was a lot of calls when they started to implement dirt saying it wouldn't quite be appropriate to have a roof or a Mustang leading them around. Typically, it's a truck here on dirt as they work their way past the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum there in turn 2. Through 3 and 4, the pace truck leads. Chris Borgman, our pole sitter for heat number 3. Here in the Knoxville Nationals. Let's see what kind of a jump he can get. A very good jump. He is gone like a shot. Oh, and big problems for Dallas Pataska. A number of cars getting into him.
Goodness
Including
gracious.
a couple on their lids. No cautions again in these heat races. So
From the looks of,
go ahead.
looks like Borgman just got a real good start, and Dallas just didn't know how to react to that.
Yeah, he lost control under power as Barnes having a bit of trouble there through 1 and 2 and letting multiple cars go. Let's go to the replay of Pataska. Borgman is still your leader, by the way. This, to me, Taylor, looks like just maybe too greedy on the right foot.
Pretty much. You got to be careful with the gas pedal on here. Too much gas, and you're going to lose the car like that. It is very difficult. Throttle control is very important when running these dirt cars. It's all about the throttle, no brakes.
All right, this is where our leader takes off. You could see the almost panic there that happened. And he got squirrely, and then it was just the entire field bearing down on him. Now, in the meantime, interesting to note that Borgman leading Lionel Callisto, last year's champion, is still up, able to advance the A main at the moment with a good lead.
As Barnes got together, oh my God, they keep going straight. Unbelievably got together with Grandin. They hit so hard, but they continue going straight. So the popsicle car now up to about, what would that be? I guess 4th position.
Yep, he's a bit of a bull in a china shop out there, but he's making it work. Wow, just caught him off guard, was on the high side at the last second on Grandin. And in fact, Grandin is going to get passed by another car as Adam Facciapani is going to try and work his way through the high side of 1 and 2. The orange machine has it.
I don't mean to take away from the action, but just remember Pataska now. Remember that name. He's going to be down in one of those lower mains with James Taylor.
This is very good for Lionel Callisto, as we mentioned, was our champion for 2017 of the majors and the Drivers' Cup. As we ride on board with Borgman, looking back at Lionel Callisto, you can see just how much these guys have to work inside these cars. And also, Taylor, the unusual wheel setting that you have in a sprint car. It's almost like driving a bus.
It is. It's a very big steering wheel that you just have to just yank and pull on in order to get through the corners. So drivers are having to be very mindful of how much input they put in the car. Too much, and you're going to be spinning. Too little, and the car's just not going to turn right. Or I should say left.
Yeah. Turn down to Ray Partridge and Brian Barnes. Barnes trying to get himself onto the podium. Won't mean much, except maybe a little bit of an ego boost way up high through 2 for Ray Partridge. He somehow keeps it together, but is not helping him in his attempts to hold back the Popsicle Man.
Oh, there's the opening that he needs. Let's see if that Popsicle machine can get a run. Prettiest car in this series right out there, that number 4.
Looks like he's going to hold him off for now, but boy, through 1 and 2, Partridge just is lost. My goodness, that car, whatever Ray is doing with it, does not like the line that he's taken. Here we go, down to the low side. The first time I'll get to say this, slide job maybe? Nope, it looks like Popsicle Man can't get it done this time. It was a valiant effort, though. He's not giving up with only 2 laps to go here. As now the white flag is out with Chris Borgman, a healthy 2-second lead down the backstretch. And around 3 and 4, the Knoxville Nationals heat number 3 is going to see Chris Borgman take the win and Lionel Callisto advance along with him to the A main.
Barnes, try as he might, could not clip the wings of Partridge. Partridge's going to get 3rd. Barnes has to settle for 4th.
Ludwig's going to follow him home. Face managed to get 6th with George Angus finishing in 7th. The Salami comes home in 8th position, number 14. Let's go through our finishing order, at least the rest of our finishing order. Brian Grandin is going to finish in 9th. Clinton Day in 10th. Bit of a new name here in the majors for us. Then coming home in 11th position, we've got Dallas Pataska. We mentioned he's going to have a hard day now. Richard Tam 12th and James Stacy 13th. Moving on, we have heat number 4 now. As drivers are already out on the grid, Travis Worling will be starting on the pole there. Doyle Lawrence in 2nd with Kevin Hill starting in 3rd. Dakota Stephen Bowman, another new face here in the majors, seems to be pretty fast, will be starting in 4th. Bill?
I can't keep up. The action just keeps coming. It's this race after race. This is great. Marcus Tracy and Richie Hearn, my partner for the Lionheart series, makes up row 3. Gary Nichols and Clark Archer in row 4. Taylor.
Starting in the 9th position is going to be Mark Herzog, followed by Brian McGreevy in the 10th position. And then rounding out the rest of your field in row 11, or actually in the 11th position, I should say, is going to be Matt Gelder, followed by Scott Kukas in the 12th position. And then finally, in 13th position, is going to be...
Looks like Ben Zahner.
Sorry.
So as we watch Worling work his way around, we are now on the 2nd pace lap. Those of you who recognize Richie Hearn from real-world IndyCar racing, you might be thinking, oh, well, he'll have an easy time here because IndyCar racers tend to come from sprint racing. Well, that wasn't the way that Richie came up through to IndyCar, unfortunately.
Which is surprising because he hails from Bakersfield, too. You would think that would be kind of that thing, but nope, that's not how that went.
He has road racing chops as his pedigree. Still, he's good on ovals here in the majors as well. He's found his legs there. Let's see how he does on dirt. Travis Worling waiting as there's a bit of a messy row 2 there. And in fact, that's going to cause quite the bunch up back there. There's a bit of contact. Car up high is Dakota Bowman. New to the major series is getting a rough introduction. Marcus Tracy moves up to 3rd, getting himself through that mess. But the driver who's going to make it through is Doyle Lawrence in 2nd at the moment. He is being chased at a rate of knots by Tracy. Back looking low, down through 3 and 4. Marcus Tracy trying to find a little bit of a grip, but that track is so dry and dusty down there. There is just nothing left for the car. Contact behind him. Once again, Dakota Bowman is getting shoved around by this field. Going to change for 2nd. Doyle Lawrence lost the low line to Marcus Tracy. He finds himself now in the transfer position. A little bit of work done down on the low side by Doyle Lawrence is going to produce nothing as he finds no grip and slips backwards into the clutches of Hill.
Oh, and no momentum now. Watch out because here comes, we're going to get a replay.
This is that move. There through 3 and 4. Beautiful stuff. As we come back live, Hill, you were saying, lost his momentum. He is now all the way down to 5th position. Ahead of him, having overtaken him, it's Dakota Bowman who's finally putting his foot down, and Doyle Lawrence on the outside. Slide job up into 3rd place for Dakota, but an over-under for Doyle Lawrence. Maybe he almost loses the car in the backstretch. Great job by Dakota for getting himself back together after getting a few knocks from his fellow drivers out there on the Knoxville Nationals. Oh, and a pass for second place even now as Bowman has run down Marcus Tracy. We saw Bowman in the warm-up. He was incredibly fast. He's also fast in the race trim.
It looks like he...
We got a car slow. We're going to watch the replay here. Oh, and did our leader just get taken out? Sorry for being off the replay, but we're watching Bowman make the pass here.
Worley got through.
Who was that ran into that slow car? Lawrence was the one that was slow. Maybe it was Gary Nichols that got into him? Regardless, Whirling still your leader with Dakota Bowman actually trying to run him down now. Not only has he worked his way through the field, he's trying to see if he can take a heat win. As we drop back to Marcus Tracy in a bit of a battle with Kevin Hill. Hill on the low side and the blue and the white machine. Tracy fends him off for now here. Laps starting to tick down. Not many left for Hill to try and do anything. That's the yellow car of Richie Hearn behind them in fifth, trying to play catch up. Up to first. Bowman continuing to shrink that gap as he gets way up into the wall. Ooh, flirting with disaster. But finding the grip regardless, looks for it off the corner. A big wobble from Travis Whirling. He tries to hold it together down to the low side. Bowman seems to have gotten it. Wow! What a climb, Bill. This is incredible.
A name to remember.
Gonna get the white flag this time by with a mere 4 laps to go. Dakota took the lead over after being slotted down as far as 6th place in this field. Around the high side of 1 and 2, already stretching away from Travis Whirling, putting a stamp on this race. Heat 3 goes to Dakota Bowman with the win. Travis Whirling takes second, with Marcus Tracy just outside of the cut line in third. Something happened to Hill in the meantime. He's dropping down the order. Let's look on the replay. Is this contact with Richie Hearn? Hearn is able to continue on, but oof, bad day for Kevin Hill, unfortunately. As the session finishes, let's go through our finishing order. Up at the top, going to be Dakota Bowman, who has really wowed everyone, including the booth. Travis Whirling in the 902nd with Marcus Tracy in third. Richie Hearn finishes fourth with Ben Zahner coming home in fifth. Clark Archer 6th, Matt Gelder 7th, and Kevin Hill in 8th position. Then it's Brian McGreevy in 9th, followed by Scott Kukas in 10th. And moving back to 11th, it's Gary Nichols, Doyle Lawrence 12th, and Mark Herzog 13th.
Guys, if you noticed throughout the whole race, we started on the bottom of the track during the first heat race. Now, by the end of this last heat race we have the guys right up against the wall. So we see that the track has been through a change now. So let's get ready for the alphabet soup races.
Another thing I've noticed, Joe, is there are drivers who were fast qualifiers, and there were drivers who were really good race drivers.
So let's go to the grid. This is our first alphabet soup race. Clay Wagner going to be starting on the pole with Adam Young in second. This is race F, by the way. Dallas Pataska will be third with Gary Nichols in fourth. Bill?
Christopher Sherburne and Daryl Slack, Richard Tam, and Doyle Lawrence make up row 4.
In the 9th position will be Vincent LaHerbier, followed by James Taylor, rounding out your top 10. Starting in the 11th position is going to be James Stacy, followed by Mark Herzog in 12th. 13th will go to Lynn Kocheli, and then rounding out your 14-car field will be Ryan Worley.
It's Kinchlow for Lynn. We just tend to call him Kinch, though, here on the broadcast. He's going to be starting well back. Same thing with our former Indy 500 winner, Ryan Worley. Another case of an IndyCar expert discovering it's a whole different world when you start sliding around in these open wheelers. He'll have to work all the way from the back. And again, it is the top 6 who advance. The bottom 6 will have their day done from here, Bill.
Keep an eye on Kinch, keep an eye on Taylor, and I think Pataska should be in pretty good position where he is.
All right, so as they come around, Adam Young's going to get a second chance. He didn't feel like his team, riding shotgun, is going to be so hot here today. Let's see if he can redeem himself. Pace truck getting ready to peel off out of 4. Clay Wagner has control of the field. He accelerates away with an incredible jump. And wow, almost banging into the wall. Adam Young finds himself slotted back into 4th. Christopher Sherburne slots into 2nd. Richard Tam into 3rd. Right now, the cutoff point is Doyle Lawrence just behind LaHerbier, with Mark Herzog, the one who's going to be the first man out. Second place pass on the outside. Richard Tam now moving himself up into there. Oh, and we had car spinning. That was Young.
Young was in the transfer position, not anymore.
Well, that bumps Mark Herzog up into that spot, but it's not going to be for long the way things are going, as Lynn Kinchlow has worked his way through the field up to 7th. Can he squeeze through? Oh, even though it looks like Herzog's got the high side, he's getting held up by Doyle Lawrence. Lawrence a little bit slow up there. Let's see if Kinch can capitalize on that. Almost gets into the side of Herzog. Oh, and we got a mess up in front of these guys. What is going on here? That's Clay Wagner. That's our leader.
Yep.
Our leader is around. Richard Tam is now up at the front of this race, but for how long? Vincent LaHerbier is up at the front. We're going to replay. What happened to Wagner? Just got touched that little bit and went airborne. Woo! Car's not made for that. Wow, it is tight up for the lead. LaHerbier has managed to take it over for that Workiva Kinetic team. Richard Tam trying to give chase. Doyle Lawrence, also hops the curb.
Lawrence is going to
one around.
Yeah, he falls out of a transfer spot.
How about this? Ryan Worley, we wondered if he could make do with this. He's up to 6. He's the last man through right now. He's being chased by James Stacy as we ride on board with Christopher Sherburne in 5th position. Excuse me, this is Worley we're on board with. A lot of stuff happening very quickly out on track right now. Only 12 cars still running. Bit of attrition here today. Again, no cautions yet until we get to the B main.
A-main.
The A main, excuse me. Worley looking to make himself safe as he works into 5th position now, demoting Christopher Sherburne. Sherburne tries to come back at him, but no dice. This is a bit of a longer race than we saw before, so as the drivers work their way around, things start to calm down a little bit finally, getting a little bit of pace, a little bit of track underneath them, Bill.
Yeah, and I wonder, Joe, these guys, a lot of new drivers here, they practice racing. I wonder how many of them actually practice starting. I think that's one of the problems these guys might be facing, that they're not familiar with dirt, is getting the car going.
The other thing they might not be familiar with is lap traffic. LaHerbier is discovering the pains of that as he's working the low side underneath Gary Nichols right now. That could give an opportunity for Tam to try and run him down.
And I think Stacy, is this not Stacy just moved up into 6th, right? Yeah, James Stacy into the transfer spot.
And we just saw Sherburne clatter the Armco, unfortunately, as he loses another position. Clay Wagner going through. Oh, and he gets into the back of James Stacy. Bit messy for this race.
That was for the transfer spot.
Oh, 2nd place up for grabs. Richard Tam and Mark Herzog. Herzog gets through. Tam gets demoted. Is he going to have another one? Lynn Kinchlow looking on the low side. Just not much left there. Kinch now has Richard Tam trying to come up on him. Cam can't find anything on the high side. Ryan Worley sitting in the 5th position, looking for that little bit more, seeing if he can get himself a better starting spot up into the next race.
Kinch, oh my goodness, up to 3rd, and now looking to get on Herzog. I think he's going to get him.
You know, despite the chaos, we are still seeing the cream rise to the top. Some fast drivers have learned how to deal with all the messiness. Kinch almost managing to get past Herzog, but just can't get the power down. Taylor, I'd say Worley and Kinch really proving their worth today.
Yeah, they're keeping their momentum up. They're keeping their car in their certain spots. It looks like Kinch is using the bottom line while Worley's working that outside groove. So they're just trying to keep the car building up with as much momentum to gain up time and make position. As Kinch now might try to slide job. Nope, not close enough, though, to make the pass on Herzog.
Kinch getting right down on that berm. Whew. He is not afraid to flirt with it. He's got his left front wheel on it a couple times now, still trying to work that low side. Mark Herzog still going to deny him. Or is this, could this be it? Oh, if he just would have moved up the track.
He's got it.
Meanwhile, fifth place just changed hands. James Stacy and Richard Tam. Tam is absolutely working his way backwards, having started this race in fourth.
Yeah,
and
he's
won
got
one in second.
He's got to be careful. He does have quite a gap, though, before he gets back to the guy in seventh.
Well, you never say never in this series. 6 laps now left to go in this slightly longer F main race. Sherburne's going to have to really hustle to get himself up to advance to make sure that his day does not end prematurely. Up at the front of everything, number 26 of Vincent Leherbier. The Canadian is continuing to show the field how it's done.
I don't know. Lynn Kinch, though, is closing in. He's going to look to the inside lane. Side by side coming off turn 4. Takes the lead.
Wow. Woo. Somebody had his Wheaties for breakfast. Kinch has now passed Vincent Leherbier, the number 181, your new leader, with only 3 laps to go. And as they cross the line, make that 2.
There's a lot of drivers that are safely in the A main right now, hoping Kinchlow doesn't get there. He looks good. Let's go back to 7th.
As we see Wagner move himself up into 7th. This is going to be a little bit too little too late for Clay. He's got about those 3.3 seconds up to Richard Tam, and the white flag is out. So there's just not enough time unless disaster strikes for Tam. Meanwhile, Unorthodox Racing, Lynn Kinchlow taking an unorthodox route to try and get himself up to the A main. He's going to cross the line and take the win in the F main. Leherbier advances. Ryan Worley comes from dead last in the field, almost dead last in the field, to get a podium. Herzog going to follow him home in 4th, with James Stacy in the 5th position. And Tam, our last driver to manage to make it through and live for another day. Rest of your order drivers that will not make it today going to be Clay Wagner in 7th, Christopher Sherburne in 8th, Dallas Pataska in 9th, and Adam Young in 10th. That is huge disappointment for Pataska. Then in 11th, you have the car of Daryl Slack, Gary Nichols in 12th, Doyle Lawrence 13th, and James Taylor, unfortunately, also just having a miserable round 11 here in the majors. Let's go to the grid for our E main. Gustavo Cianfrardi going to be starting on the pole, with Tom Dreiling starting in 2nd. Brian Grandin will be on the inside of row 2 and 3rd, with Brian McGreevy in 4th. Bill?
Bryce Roberts going to be inside of row 3, flanked by Wade Hayes. Clinton Day and Scott Kukas make up row 4.
Starting in the 9th position will be...
There he is.
Lynn Kinchlow, followed by Vincent Leherbier in 10th position. In the 11th position will be Ryan Worley, Mark Herzog, James Stacy in 13th, and Richard Tam will round out your 14th position.
It's got more work to do. We just saw him. He's got to do it all over again.
Well, these drivers, as Gustavo Cianfrardi seems to have forgotten, there is a pace truck to follow. There we go. Now he's back behind him. And Looks like as we get started on our second lap, you might recognize all the names we just saw finish in the top 6. Now they have to finish 6 more higher. This is why they call it the alphabet soup. You got to wade through and eventually get yourself up to the top if you want to keep going. And it's going to get harder and harder as the drivers get better and better. Now down past the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. John Ferrari going to be on the pole. Hopefully get a little bit of a cleaner start here. And the E-Main. 26 laps that we're going to be racing for this one. One more lap. Top 6 advance to the D-Main. Pace truck peels off. Good start by John Ferrari. Ooh, almost a touch there between Dreiling and Bryce Roberts, though, for third and fourth. And Roberts looking for second as a big mistake by John Ferrari. Ferrari is going to move him back, and Brian Grandin is going to move himself up to the top spot.
Dreiling had a horrible start. He continues to drop like a pigeon.
Meanwhile, Roberts now going to the lead. The number 93 is on a tear. He started this thing in 10th position, if I'm seeing right. He's getting fought back by Brian Grandin, now working the low side. Shorter track, less grip, but it looks like he's finding it somewhere. Brian Grandin drifts up to the high side, carries the speed, move Brian back into first. Behind them, Brian McGreevy sitting in third. John Ferrari is sitting in the 4th position. Lynn Kinchlow looks like he's going to be able to advance right now, but he's in a close battle for 6th with Clinton Day trying to get off the bubble, and Wade Hayes is looking to overtake them both.
That is the transfer spot right there.
Riley, who's been slotted back since the start, is in a mess of cars right now, bobbing and weaving, trying to find his way forward. Up at the front, things have separated, so Grandin now leading by over a second over McGreevy. There we see our leaders working their way around. Meanwhile, action is thick and fast. In the middle is Clinton Day is falling down the order. He lost control, and Dreiling's going to capitalize there. You see in the yellow machine.
Dreiling got him, and then Hayes got him, and now Hayes on the outside of Dreiling, trying the top side.
We're only on lap 7, Taylor, but I think this is going to get fierce between these guys because this is the closest fight we've seen in a while for the bubble position.
It is. In fact, they sometimes even went 3 wide as Wade gets by Drellings now. So putting Drellings now. Wade inside. Oh, as he spins. Went up into that berm of the cushion too high.
We're going to watch the replay. Yeah, that cushion. Oh, excuse me. We don't have a replay of that, but that drops him all the way down into 11th. Does this mean now we are going to start getting some lap traffic potentially? LeHerbier currently the last one out there. He must have some damage because he looks like he is struggling. And that's not what we saw before. You see the Workiva Kinetic number 26.
Oh, let's go. Oh, big pile up. And it involves Tom Dreiling.
Gustavo as well.
Worth a
Richard
replay.
Tam. Take a look at that and see what exactly happened. Looks like this started with Gustavo getting loose. Dreiling had nowhere to go. More cars piled into it. That was Herzog and Clinton Day. Let's come back live. That shuffles up our order. Grandin and McGreevy still first and second. Roberts still third, but Kinchlow now 4th. Day now 5th, and Herzog into 6th on the bubble with James Stacy working to hunt him down. We see Kinchlow. Kinch managing to do what he can to try and get through up to the A-main to see if he can capitalize on some glory. So we watch Herzog in that battle with Clinton Day. This is to get yourself off the bubble position. James Stacy, you can see behind them working the high side just above Wade Hayes.
Wade Hayes is coming too. He's got a ways to go. He has time to get there. There's a little bit of a goofiness with the lap distance.
And James Stacy up on the high side managed to get by Herzog. Oh, and Brian Grandin is on his side, and that's his race over. Just a little bit of that lip. Actually, he got tipped around.
Yeah, it's a little bit of the lip slowed him down. Then Schianfarini got him. Not Gustavo's fault at all.
By the way, Herzog also had a big incident during that replay. He's just staying off the racing line to keep out of these guys' way. So this promotes Brian McGreevy up to the lead, Bryce Roberts into second, and Kinch now into third. Wade Hayes gets promoted onto the bubble spot. Leherbier not too far behind him, the Canadian, seeing if he could keep his hopes alive.
For the lead going on now, Bryce Roberts takes it to the outside out of turn 2.
Trying that high side, slides into him just slightly. Can he keep it pointed forward? It's wobbling around, and Bryce Roberts somehow keeps his tires underneath him. Brian McGreevy getting a little bit anxious there in second place, wanting to fully ensure himself and get a main win here in the E-Main. Now 8 laps to go. Not giving up on Roberts as we go back to 6.
That's Hayes that just got around. Now Day is back to 6, and Leherbier is trying his best to get there. And he is there now, I guess.
Wade Hayes trying all he can on Stacy. This is for 4th position, but the MS car is holding that high line firmly. Not going to let him by. Ooh, big wobble, though, coming off the corner. Battle for the lead starting to erupt again as McGreevy gaining on Roberts. Just 0.3 of a second between them. McGreevy looking a lot stronger off the corner as, Roberts looking stronger off the corner as McGreevy trying the low side where it's gotten very slick and rubbered in.
This round going 26 laps. The one before went 25. Our next one's going to go 27.
2 drivers working 2 different lines, seeing which one comes out the better. Bryce Roberts so far holding off the number 68. Tucking it down low into that curb. McGreevy keeps his foot planted. Oh, this time he's got to run. He's looking down to the inside. Can't quite swing it up to the high side, though. Gets pinched down on the exit as Roberts denies him yet again. He's going to give it another go, Bill.
Yeah, easy, boys. You don't really need the spot. Yeah, it'd be nice, but all you need to do is finish where you are.
I don't think they're listening to you on that one,
No.
Soup.
White flag is out. Just 2 more corners to go. Bryce Roberts in the lead with a little bit of lap traffic down low. Doesn't really hurt him. Bryce Roberts wins the E-Main here tonight in the Knoxville Nationals. McGreevy comes home in second, and Kinchlow in third.
Kinchlow does it again. Schianfarini. No, he's a lap down. Sorry. In 4th position is going to be
Stacy.
There we go.
Leherbier in 5th, and the last car to advance is going to be Wade Hayes. The drivers who did not make it today, their day is done. Clinton Day, unfortunately. Gustavo, as we mentioned, down in 8th is done. Mark Herzog, unfortunately, finishes 9th. Brian Grandin in the 10th position. Switching over to the second page in 11th is Richard Tam, Tom Dreiling, Ryan Worley, and Scott Kukas. Already, Taylor, we're seeing some very fast names bringing themselves up into the stands to watch the rest of the race.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for some of these guys, but that's why we run these races, to determine who deserves a shot in the A-Main.
All right, we're up to the D-Main now in this alphabet soup. Let's go through our starting grid. Mark Redeker starts in first. William Fletcher in second position. George Angus has some beef with these guys. He's going to start third with Matt Gelder in fourth.
Jeff Schmeier is going to be in 5th position inside of Chris Pence. Bob, the Pastrami Beltrami, in 17th. in 7th, inside of Kevin Hill.
Starting in the 8th or the 9th position is Bryce Roberts, followed by Brian McGreevy in the 10th position. Rounding out the rest of your group is going to be Lynn Kunchel, James Stacy, Vincent LaHerbier, and Wade Hayes. Rounds out your top 14.
Bill, we've found someone who struggles more than you with some names here, I guess.
Yeah, well, I feel for him.
It's
Kinch.
not a good night for me. Poor Kinch. I gotta go apologize to him after the race.
Yeah, we'll get him to tattoo it on the back of your hand or something like that. There's Kinchlow out there with his Garfield on the front wing. All right, we've completed the one pace lap behind the truck. Just half a lap more to go, then we go racing. Things getting a little bit more fierce now, I'm noticing, Bill.
Yeah, well, let's see if Kinch can do it one more time. He's every time he does it, he's got to work through. The going gets a little harder because the drivers get a little tougher.
Mark Redeker, we mentioned, going to be starting this one on the inside on the pole as the pace truck peels off into pit lane. Redeker holds them a bit, tries to check him up. He waits all the way till the green flag, and we had a car that absolutely did not get a start. That was William Fletcher. Whew, he was a mess. So, speaking of a mess, up in second place as we watch the drivers jockey for position here to finish lap 1. Redeker still leading the way. Oh, big slide from George Angus. He almost loses it, gathers it back together, but slips all the way down to the bubble position. He's still struggling to get it together. Gelder now in second. Mark Redeker slipping down to 4th as Jeff Schmeier moves himself into the 3rd position. Roberts with a bad time coming off the corner. Excuse me, no, Angus with a bad time coming off the corner.
Make contact.
They're able to keep going. The car that he made contact with is Lynn Kinchlow, actually.
Yeah.
It was Kinch he got into, and Kinch is all the way down in 11th. He is not having as easy of a time as before.
Took a big hit. I don't know how strong these cars are. I didn't damage it or didn't try to race it with damage. But now Kinchlow, luckily he's got one extra lap to try to get this done.
Right on board with Matt Gelder in 3rd position. Now we switch to Lynn Kinchlow back down there in 9th. He's got 3 more positions to make up. Again, the top 6 will get through. Still early in this race, so he can still take some positions.
The bad news, the guy he's got to get is Vincent LaHerbier, and LaHerbier is really fast. He sits in 6th.
Yeah, right now with a 1.7 second gap to the next car down. So the Canadian's sitting pretty for now. We're starting to see, you can watch the rubber build up out there, a distinct low line and high line. So we see James Stacy working the very, very high line. Up in the cushion, he's in a battle with Bob Beltrami down below. The Salami finds the shot off the corner a lot better as Stacy struggles. Now they're joined by LaHerbier. Stacy this time gets the shot. He gets the position. Beltrami losing out to LaHerbier, who gets both of them. LaHerbier up to 4th, and I think there was a change for 2nd.
Oh, Kinchlow around.
Oh. As we see a mess of cars. Oh, big into the wall for Stacy there we saw on screen. Herbier moves into 3rd. He's working on Jeff Schmeier. These guys a long ways back from Bryce Roberts, who's leading the way right now.
Bob Beltrami is now falling back to 6th. He's the guy hanging on.
Again, top 6 will advance. If you're wondering why we're making such a big deal out of that, this is heat racing. If this is your first time watching dirt racing, Gelder was in a little bit of a battle with Stacy still, but he lost out as Bob Beltrami tries to catch him. Right on board with Matt Gelder, currently riding in the 5th position, watching the cars up ahead. Look at the tail of Stacy just wobbling all over there. Stacy continues to work that cushion, determined to make grip out of that loose dirt. Herbier, wow, and it's working now. Oh, and it was working. Stacy clatters into the wall. Positions start to slip through his fingers. And now Matt Gelder going to demote him to the last position that'll slide through to the next main.
Just a second ago, I said Beltrami was in 6th. Well, he moved up to 4th. He got around Gelder, but then the mistake from Stacy moves him into that transfer spot, and Hill's coming. No, he's not. Wait, I'm sorry, Hayes just spun it.
I'm going to watch the replay on Hayes here. He's having trouble getting the car going even.
He was in 7th. He was coming. He had the pace. But like Kinchelo before him, he was in too much of a hurry.
Yep. Into the corner wrong. Around it goes, thankfully, off the racing line. Stacy still your man on the bubble in the 0-2, sitting in 6th spot. He's got Matt Gelder ahead of him. There's our leader, Bryce Roberts, the number 93. He's leading ahead of Vincent Herbier by a very healthy gap. The Plains driver very much at home here in Iowa.
Gelder is in trouble right now. He's under attack from Fletcher.
Very much under attack. This is a close race, and Fletcher is trying to swing it up around the high side as we ride on board with the red and black machine of number 76. He gets all the way up into the cushion. I'm seeing a big bump up there as the car jostles around. Can he make it stick? Just not enough momentum. And that's something we haven't talked about here, Taylor, is the fact that bumps and ruts can form in these tracks.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Chunks of dirt will fly off these cars. You'll actually see little divots on the track if you look closely on the track's surface. That can affect the car's handling to where it could either help make the car grip or even make the car lose control and spin out. So it's very difficult to keep an eye on the track. That's why this dirt racing is always so interesting, because the track is literally just changing.
Oh, Fletcher tries,
man,
but just not the right exit off the corner. Beltrami, though, is going to give him that 6th spot, as Beltrami was around the number 14. Oh, no. Dives it to the inside. Just a little bit too much on the inside, though. So this allows William Fletcher to sigh a breath of relief, because McGreevy is a whole 8 seconds behind him. Bryce Roberts still our leader.
Really interesting line there. Gelder, maybe not the fast, but he's just so smooth on that inside line. And Billy F. up there working left and right, going around the top.
Oh, but now they've been caught. He was safe before, 4 laps to go. And McGreevy has put on a charge on the number 68. Can he do anything with Fletcher? Laps ticking in. Oh, and Fletcher with a mistake. That's going to give it to Brian McGreevy now, the last car that's going to make it through the next main. Down to 2 laps to go. Bryce Roberts is our leader out of turn 2. This half-mile circuit is starting to get chewed up, and as the mains go by, it's only going to get worse. But for Bryce Roberts today, right now, it's getting better because the white flag is out. He's got a 6-second lead, half the track ahead of the next car back. Bryce Roberts here in the D-Main is going to win at the Knoxville Nationals. Who's second place going to be? I think it's going to be James Stacy with a last lap pass over L'Herbier. Or did he? Did L'Herbier get it? We'll find out on the official graphic once this is over. Schmeier comes home in 4th. Gelder in 5th. And McGreevy, I think, going to be our last driver through in the 6th position. All right, let's see how it sorts itself out. There were some close finishes there. Roberts first, Stacy second, Lerbier third, Schmeier fourth, Gilder fifth, and Brian McGreevy all continue on into the C main. Kevin Hill is going to be the first driver to drop out in this main, with Bob Beltrami finishing in eighth. A late race mistake cost him. William Fletcher, similar situation, spun it around. He only manages ninth. Wade Hayes finishes in 10th. As we go to 11th, Chris Pence going to finish there. George Angus 12th after starting so far up the order, with Mark Redeker 13th, and Lynn Kinchlow finally sees his march through the alphabet soup halt. With that, let's go through our starting grid here in the C main. Nick Kuhn will be in first, with Drew Lalonde starting in second. Ernie Ludwig will be third, and Ben Zahner starting in fourth. Bill?
Steve Paulson is going to be inside of Dick Mueller. Mueller, of course, doing really well in the sportsman's class. Adam Facciaponte in the seventh spot inside of Clark Archer. Taylor?
Next up is our last D main winner, Bryce Roberts, followed by James Stacy. Next up in the 11th position will be Vincent Leherbier. Next up is going to be Jeff Scheimer, followed by Matt Gelder and Brian McGreevy. Round out your top 14.
There you go, as the cars now take to the track, getting closer and closer to that A main. And speaking of looking at that track, what are your thoughts now that we've had multiple mains, Taylor? It's there's some patches where it's not just rubbered in, but it looks like almost the rubber itself is tearing up too.
Yeah, we see that dark groove right there on the screen right now. It's showing that groove is starting to work in now. It's going to make these cars a lot more looser through the corner, especially on those two sections we look in the corner as a pace car's taking them through on that low and high line. So drivers are going to need to be careful to try to find as fresh dirt as much as they can to help make the car stick to the corners. So it's going to be a last few interesting races in these last few heat races.
And the guys in the A main are going to get a nice fresh track. They'll need it with 35 laps out there. It'll be interesting to see how it gets torn up as the pace truck pulls off. Nick Kuhn accelerates away. Ernie Ludwig, though, from third to second. Ooh, almost four wide back there. Oh, and our leader spins. Our leader is around. Or was that second place?
That was Ernie Ludwig.
Ludwig, unfortunately, not having the start he wanted. Zahner is going to get himself into second, but not for long, because Bryce Roberts moves up into second. Wow, look at this bee's nest of cars. That's Paulson in the red Milwaukee machine, doing what he can. Drew Lalonde just ahead of him, being worked on the high side by Jeff Schmeier, who now gets himself into the bubble position. He is now sixth.
Leherbier and Stacy are the two drivers that were in the F main. They're still racing.
Contact between Schmeier and Lalonde. Remember, Lalonde in seventh. Oh, and who is that? Having trouble. Dick Mueller, unfortunately, stacking everybody up. Mueller has to try and catch the car as they now go three wide. And Brian McGreevy up into sixth position.
Battle for the lead right now between Roberts and Kuhn.
Drivers are absolutely clamoring for that sixth position, but as we look at the lead, Kuhn has lost out to Roberts on the low side. Kuhn's going to try and carry the momentum. Looks like it's going to go to Roberts for now on the low side. A little bit slow, but somehow finds the traction off the corner. Lap 6 of 28 here in this race. Leader's starting to settle down now, but the sixth place battle, certainly not. Jeff Schmeier gets himself up into fifth with Brian McGreevy now under threat. If he loses one more, he is out of it. He knows that. He tries to come back at him on the low side. Jeff Schmeier doing what he can up top.
Leherbier just dropped a spot to Ben Zahner. That's a battle for third and fourth.
Podium spot not very meaningful
Nope.
here in these races, just a pride thing at this point. So we watch Zahner in his green and white machine continue to be hassled by Leherbier. Ooh, Schmeier. Schmeier is in trouble because James Stacy is now on top of him.
Stacy and Leherbier, the two drivers that have come all the way from the F main. Stacy needs that last position.
And we've seen Stacy working that way, way high cushion up against the wall all race. Wow, he is loose now, though, as we switch over to Leherbier in this battle with Zahner. Leherbier holding down third for now. Not too far behind, too far behind Nick Kuhn in second position as well.
Boy, Leherbier working the low line, and he's really been fighting to figure out how to keep the car straight.
Not sure who that was we saw slipping up down onto the curb. We're getting some drivers chatting, trying to figure out how to deal with the lap traffic, it sounds like. As Bryce Roberts comes upon them. Meanwhile, 6 getting close once again up on the high side. The momentum. Beautiful move by Stacy, who is off like a rocket out of turn 2. He is gone.
Boy, he
Well,
got
just slightly, though.
Springs back in Schreimer. Jeff Schreimer's going to try to still look to the inside for the moment, but James looks like we might have a slide job. Nope, James Stacy uses the momentum on the high side to make the pass stick.
That was a valiant effort by Schmeier, but he is now down in 7th. Oh,
Well-
a big wobble.
Oh man, Stacy's car looks like it's drunk.
I was gonna say, Stacy looking like the
Gee.
Gilles Villeneuve of dirt racing here. He is wild, but he is fast. Second place, it looks like, has gone to Nick Kuhn, with Zahner gaining on him up around the high side. A big mistake from Kuhn sends him backwards all the way to McGreevy and Leherbier. Down to the low side, McGreevy gets the shot off the corner. There must be some damage on Kuhn because
Yeah.
he is now falling like a rock.
Brian McGreevy now trying to get around the lapped car, the Thessaponte.
Herbier drifting up a little bit, almost gets into the lap car of Fassapani as Nick Kuhn was boxed in. Thankfully, knew there was a car low and didn't try to dodge in. Oh, as Adam almost gets hit again. Face now one lap down and not looking like as much hope. Oh, Nick Kuhn nearly getting run over by Stacy.
Stacy's got that wobbling car out there, keeping it going straight.
Well, the fastest route between 2 points is a straight line, but don't tell James Stacy that because he seems to have figured out a different way to be fast.
Schmeier's just about to get him here. We're talking about Kuhn. Remember, Kuhn was racing up front.
Yeah. He had to have hit someone or something. Cars work themselves around, 8 laps to go. Schmeier is making it look like this is going to be short work for him as he has really gunned him down. As soon as I say that, Kuhn collects the car a little bit together. Down on the low side, looking for the slide job. Couldn't quite pull up. Now he's got it. Jeff Schmeier tries to get the power down, and he's got it done. The 667 is going to be able to advance. Down to 6 laps to go. Going to be 5 as Bryce Roberts crosses the line now. Clark Archer going to get lapped. In fact, I believe we've only got 9 cars left on the lead lap here in these final stages.
Yeah, Bryce has been pretty much checked out from the rest of the field right now. But it looks like, though, Zahner might have a little bit of where he is McGreevy, as McGreevy's been closing in a little bit by little bit now, 1.2 back. So Zahner just needs to hold his position as best as he can. One small mistake, and that will bring in McGreevy.
Shout out to Brian's mom and dad. They watch all of these events that their son races in, Mrs. and Mrs. McGreevy. Brian's doing okay.
Oh, and we got a car over. Drew Lalonde, unfortunately, is going to take a tow. That was a bad end for him. Bryce Roberts has only 1.5 laps to go. The number 93 here in the C main. It looks like he's going to get to the B main. All he has to do from there is finish within the top 6. So
Not sure.
Bryce, go ahead.
Not sure if we mentioned it, but Jeff Schmeier did get around Nick Kuhn to that transfer spot.
Transferring for sure. Bryce Roberts in the number 93 wins the C main here at the Knoxville Nationals. Ben Zahner with a great climb up to second. Brian McGreevy into third. And Stacy, who's been putting on a show, gets fourth.
And LaHerbier gets the transfer as well. So both Stacy and LaHerbier continued their march through these mains. F, E, D.
Now through C into B. So Bryce Roberts finished in first, Ben Zahner in second, McGreevy third, Stacy fourth, and LaHerbier fifth. Last man to get through, Schmeier. Nick Kuhn just off the transfer spot in seventh, with Dick Mueller in eighth, Matt Gelder in ninth, and Clark Archer in 10th. Your 11th spot goes to Ernie Ludwig, with Drew Lalonde in 12th, Adam Face in 13th. That's the end of his day now. And Stephen Paulison is going to finish in 14th. All right, this is it. The last one before the big show, boys. Blake Reynolds is in this one. He is going to be starting in first, with Steve Driscoll in second. Ray Partridge will be P3 at the drop of the green, with Marcus Tracy in fourth. Bill?
A lot of names we saw early on. Haven't seen much of them since. Brian Bennett, Matthew Thunhorse, row 3. The Popsicle Machine, Brian Barnes in the 7th position, inside of former Indy car driver Richie Hearn.
Starting in the 9th position, he's been on a tear for these past few races. Bryce Roberts in the 9th position, followed by Ben Zahner in 10th. In the 11th position is Brian McGreevy, followed by James Stacy. Let's see if he can keep that run going with his show, followed by Vincent LaHerbier and Jeff Scheimer, round out your 14th.
Schmeier's going to have a lot of work to do to get through on this one. And one quick note that you need to know, if you weren't paying attention or if you just joined us, it is now the top 7 that advance. So 7th position is the lowest you want to take the car, as they work around now on the 2nd pace lap. And again, this is the Knoxville Nationals with the majors. This B main will decide who goes on to the big show, the big final race.
You know, one of our sponsors is MS, and it's great to see James Stacy in the O2 car. He's got racing for MS out there, putting on a great show.
Yeah,
there
I agree.
Right there. Look at that.
He and his teammates have had that paint scheme, that MS paint scheme, all over their car tonight, trying to help raise awareness and help get people involved. Meanwhile, Blake Reynolds is involved in this green flag with a huge shot off of there. Driscoll into second, but for how long? Because Ray Partridge down to the inside of them as they work their way through 1 and 2. We got a car down off to the inside. Looks like Brian Barnes is one of those. They fan out around turns 3 and 4, completing lap 1. Driscoll in second, Partridge in third. Then we start to get battles. Bryce Roberts holding off the cars of Marcus Tracy and Richie Hearn. Right on board with Zahner, who was in the 7th position. Wow, he gets chopped off by Hearn, who's now in the 7th position.
These boys know where they need to be.
This is where it gets incredibly tense. Ooh, big checkup ahead of them as Ray Partridge almost got into Bryce Roberts. That's going to allow the car of Brian McGreevy down low. McGreevy, remember, has been working his way through this field as well. And LaHerbier with big problems, and Zahner as well. Let's see what happened here. We got a replay. Oh, it looks like Zahner got into the car of Marcus Tracy.
Tracy got loose in front of him, and then they all just ran into him. Zahner got the worst of it. Tracy's still going.
And we have a battle for the lead. Oh, Blake Reynolds is slow. Did something happen to Reynolds? He's been working the low line, and it's not been doing well for him. That's allowed Steve Driscoll's number 62 to take the point. 29 laps out here in Iowa. All to decide who gets to the big show. Right now, Reynolds pretty clear of the car behind McGreevy. Going to have to do some work to catch him. We look back at the car behind him. Bryce Roberts sitting in fourth. Richie Hearn behind him, the former IndyCar driver, showing he can handle the racing routes of his main series.
Hey guys, James Stacy finally got inside the transfer spot of 7th place now, so he's got his eyes set though on Ray Partridge. So he's going to try to work his way up through the field a little bit more.
Bill, does your clipboard army have where Stacy first came in on the mains? Because I feel like he's done a lot of these.
Yeah, James Stacy and LaHerbier coming from F all the way through.
Wow. Whew. What a job these guys have done. But Stacy's not safe. You can see his car still wiggling every single time he comes off a corner. He's challenging Ray Partridge to see if he can get himself that little bit more safe up into 6th. Going to swing way around the outside on the cushion. Just climbing the walls every single time we see Stacy. But somehow he makes it work.
Somebody needs, after the race, pull him over and make him blow in a tube. The car just wiggles.
As we ride on board with 4th place, Roberts looking back at Hearn. Hearn is pretty safe at this point, sitting in 5th, but he's looking to try and solidify himself for a better start position in the main race. Remember, our top 2 in the first round of heat races all advanced to the A main and haven't had to race since. They are going to get a fresh track. These guys will too if they advance, but right now they are racing on just blackness out there.
Tell you what though, guys, those guys who transfer through the heat races, they're watching these races quite closely to know how the track has been changing, so that way they know what to do when it comes time towards the end of their main event to make the correct moves and the correct adjustments in their car to help out with making passes.
I want to go to Reynolds real quick. He's got an issue going on, and it's not just from being passed for a position. Ben Zahner up front has been really wild in the car on the top side, the 115. And Reynolds has been trying to get around him for a long time. He finally gets it done.
I think so. I hope so. Look at how slow it is down there, and he actually makes contact. That's for position. Brian McGreevy tried to stick his nose in, and I think he might get this position. That track is looking slick. So while they continue to try to lap the car of Zahner, who's desperately clutching to some sort of hope that maybe he can get through to the A main, running the high side way up against the Armco.
This is going to confuse my wife. The track is slick, but it's also rough.
Indeed. Slick and rubbered in, too. So figure that out. Ooh, and Hearn has just gotten past Roberts into 4th place now. Looks like they had a little bit of lap traffic, maybe helped them. Brian Barnes and the popsicle machine took part in that. Barnes not set to make it through at this point. He's down in 13th. Ooh, Partridge.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say Partridge is caught up to Stacy. Oh, and Stacy's caught up to Barnes.
Well, Barnes is, yeah, you're right.
Well,
Barnes is a lap down, isn't he? Yeah, he's not fighting.
Yes, but he's holding him up. That's the issue. That's allowed Partridge to really get on the rear of him Now, thankfully, it looks like Barnes took to the low line to try and let Stacy through, and that's opened up the gap slightly.
Yeah, honestly, Stacy had been running down Partridge. Partridge's made a mistake, and now Stacy's running away. The question is, Partridge is in that transfer spot. He looks to be safe. It's a long way back to Matthew Thunhurst. He's got to get going.
Ooh, and the race officials not happy with some of these lapped cars. They've ordered them not to race the leaders if you are a lap down already. So obviously not pleased with the drivers who are going to end their day here at the end of this race from what it looks like. 8 laps to go, so not a lot of chances to try and get yourself into that A main. Partridge has a whole 5.5 seconds over the car that is going to be eliminated first. That would be Matthew Thunhurst behind Ray that you can see there on our graphic. And there's the gap. You can see the monstrous distance between the two of them.
Only hope for Thunhurst is that some of the guys up front start to fool around and cause each other trouble.
So as Steve Driscoll himself comes up to some lap traffic in the form of Thunhurst, you see it's the white and blue MS machine of Steve Driscoll working that high line, trying to carry the speed. No dice for this lap. Only 5 laps to go. 4.5 really, as they come around turn 3 and 4. I think he's going to get him this time. Yes, indeed. Easily by as Thunhurst lets him through. What about McGreevy? McGreevy looks a little bit to the low side to try and lap this car. Is that going to work a little bit better, work quicker? Not quite. Now he's finally through. 3 laps to go, but half a second between himself and Driscoll. It's going to have to take a lot of hustle and a monstrous move for McGreevy to get up to first. That's not going to help, getting a bit of a slide off the corner.
McGreevy Roberts have come not quite as far as Stacy from the F, but from the E main.
But Stacy looks like he's going to make it through.
Yep.
Steve Driscoll definitely going to make it through with the white flag out, looking to win the B main. The blue and white MS machine of the number 62 takes the win here in the B main at Knoxville Raceway. McGreevy manages to get second. Reynolds not able to get him back. He'll have to settle for third. Richie Hearn is going to make it into the A main. See how he fares now, having only 2 races under his belt. Bryce Roberts is going to finish 5th, and Stacy, as we mentioned, gets through in 6th. The last car to make it through is Ray Partridge. Now to the drivers that are unfortunately not going to get to the big show. That is going to be Matthew Thunhurst in 8th, Jeff Schmeier in 9th, and Vincent Leherbier in 10th. Then on to 11th position, Marcus Tracy is done for. Brian Barnes, sorry, Bill, Popsicle Machine is done.
Yep.
Ben Zahner in 13th, and Brian McGreevy is going to finish in 14th position. We're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. That was a lot of racing to go through. We've got one more to go. It's the one that decides who wins it all. Stick around here for the Knoxville Nationals, the majors here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Welcome back to Knoxville, Iowa, where we're watching the Knoxville Nationals here on the Majors, presented to you by the National MS Society. Again, you can check out information on their webpage at nationalmssociety.org, or if you want, you can call their hotline where they'll give you information there as well at 1-800-344-4867. They're currently in warm-up. This is not qualifying that you see out on track. The drivers are getting a little bit of time to feel the changed track because they did wet it down. They put the trucks out, the virtual trucks, and refreshed it all. And then we're going to go racing for 35 laps here in the main. Going to be interesting because now, Bill, we have cautions involved.
Yeah, that should help out some of the guys that have to work their way through the field. Let's talk about some of the stars of the show so far. Brian McGreevy has worked his way into the A main from the E main, and so has Bryce Roberts. But the guy who has really stolen the show was James Stacy, who has come all the way from the F main, all the way here to be into the finals. Now, Cameron Dance, remember him? Well, he's sitting up there. He's going to be in great shape as well, sitting on the pole.
All right, let's show you where everybody's going to be starting and go through our grid. Cameron Dance, as you mentioned, won the very first heat race. That means he sits at the top spot. Christian Challoner will be in second, with Chris Borgman starting in third. Then you've got Dakota Stephen Bowman starting fourth, who really impressed us winning his heat as well. Bill?
Those were all the winners. Now here's the second place finishers in the heat race. Austin O'Neill. Oh, Austin, remember, he's really fast. Watch out for him. Justin Johnson is going to be in the fifth spot. Little Train, Lionel Callisto in seventh. And then Travis Warling behind him.
And then rounding out the rest of our field, these are our drivers who made it through the Alphabet Soup heat races. Steve Driscoll will start in the 9th position, followed by Brian McGreevy in the 10th position. Coming home in 11th, starting in 11th, is Blake Reynolds, followed by Richard Hearn in 12th. Bryce Roberts in 13th. James Stacy, a hard charger all night, working through all the races tonight, in 14th. And Ray Partridge rounds out your 15-car main event race.
Keep an eye on Austin O'Neill. I'm telling you, that's the guy. He is in fifth. He is quick.
Boy, Stacy and Partridge scraping through by the skin of their teeth. Let's see what they can do with all of our winners now in this one. Fireworks going off to celebrate the big race here that we've been waiting for all night. One pace lap is over, and the pace truck is going to lead them around. Our lone Australian, Cameron Dance. Let's see what he can do. He certainly seemed to impress early on. As looking through to see if we've got many other represented. Brazil was here, of course. We saw Canada in this race. Lots of nations showing up alongside the U.S. But mostly...
Is the blimp out there right now? Because... Okay, it's kind of dangerous.
Don't worry, they've made sure that it is fireproof material on the blimp.
Right. Here we go.
Cameron Dance takes the green, immediately takes off, leaving Christian Challoner in the dust. Chris Borgman working down to the inside to see what he can do as they accelerate on the first lap. Battle for fourth behind them. Dakota up on the high side. Austin O'Neill down on the low side. Justin Johnson gets checked up behind them.
They are working their way through. Boy, everybody realizes they got to get going, but now they start to single file. This is pretty nice.
Quick correction here. Cameron is a Kiwi. My apologies. I know that's a bit of a sticking point. So, Australia Club. Oh, big shove, I think. Contact between O'Neill and Borgman. That's for the fifth position. Oh, Borgman now getting tangled up. Going to get a caution here. Cars are still pointed forward. Now we got a car on its lid. That is McGreevy. Gets it turned back over. Oh, and Ray Partridge going to get an EOL. What happened there? Oh, it looks like Ray scored in first when he shouldn't be, hence why he's getting this EOL. Now, this is a glitch within the timing and scoring system. Watching McGreevy to see what happened in this incident. Taylor, what are your thoughts?
By the looks of it, it just looks like two drivers getting really loose and nowhere to go for McGreevy as he just gets pushed up into that outside Armco barrier. So, unfortunate for McGreevy on that. Sorry for mom and pops watching tonight. Know they were pulling for their son to do well tonight.
They're happy as long as I don't call him McGreedy. I've done that before, and they did not appreciate that nickname.
All right, there's looks like Ray Partridge now slotting to the back of the field. That should get us all into the proper order. Boy, we would have been really confused how he made that quick of work, Bill.
Yeah, I would have. I'm having a hard enough time when things go right.
Yeah. So again, that's not a penalty. The EOL is to make sure that he is actually where he's supposed to be, because he did not start on the pole. That was just a glitch in the timing. Now, here's something interesting. As we watch the cars go around, Cameron Dance is way up on the high side, right next to the Armco. Is there a reasoning that he's doing that there, Taylor?
Probably just trying to work in a little bit of that groove as well to get ready for later on in the race, trying to see if there's any fresh dirt, trying to keep the tires, as cool as possible, don't wanting too much damage to happen on the tires later on. So he's just probably trying to take care of his tires and his equipment as best he can.
Taylor, I'm an idiot. I don't know anything about it. You need to take care of the tires on the dirt? They go away?
They will go away after a certain amount of time. But due to the fact that these races are so short, it's not a major factor.
The heat, I know, is one, as they do model the heat in the dirt as well as the moisture in the dirt here on the iRacing service. Cameron Dance immediately takes off, though. Once again, Christian Challoner has no answer for him as Dakota looks to see if he can duck his nose to the inside. No dice for him. He's now under threat from Austin O'Neill, who looks down to the low side through 3 and 4.
I told you to watch out for Austin, trying to make that inside line work, and I think he's going to get that pass made as he moves around Bowman. Bowman fighting back.
He tried, but his momentum interrupted. O'Neill still working the low line while the track is still fresh. And it looks like he has got the job fully done now as Bowman, number 459, is looking in his, well, what would be his mirrors if these were, if they had mirrors. Lionel Callisto now behind him, last season's champion. They can have virtual mirrors, I should note, on these cars. Don't know which drivers will have them on and which have elected to go ultra realism. Right now, pretty calm up at the front. What you're watching down there between Callisto, Bowman, and Johnson is our closest fight.
Trouble on the back straightaway. Bryce Roberts and it looked like also James Stacy got together. They got moving those, so no caution.
Stacy keeps going. McGreevy is back out on track a lap down, so that's not for position behind him. And again, they do have one spare car per heat.
Yeah, but honestly, this is the only time that your spare car with the yellow flags you could use it without it being this ineffective. Well, we got to talk big picture. Blake Reynolds, your point leader, back in 9th. Challoner, the guy who's chasing him, up in 2nd.
Reynolds a pavement driver, so obviously not having as good of a time here in the dirt. Challoner, though, just like a duck to water. He may be in 2nd, but he's not worried about Dance for now, since Dance really isn't in the championship fight. Oh, Roberts with an issue we see off down into the pit lane. Maybe has lost his engine. There's no shifting in these cars, Taylor. Do you have any guesses?
No, not really. He must have done some type of damage because you're right. There is no shifting in the car.
Dance getting that left front wheel up in the air a little bit. But no worries. He's still got a 2nd gap over Challoner. Closest battle of our top drivers really right now is Little Train and Bowman. This is for the 4th position through 3 and 4. Just to tell you how fast this race goes by, we're already halfway through. Bowman working the high side. Callisto trying to find grip on the bottom, almost connect behind them. Justin Johnson on the low side. Travis Worley working the high line there, as you see. Whirling comes out ahead.
JJ, though, continues to look for a way. That 939 machine.
There as sliding up towards the Armco there. Justin Johnson catches it. Flirting with disaster.
Oh, my goodness. We almost... James Stacy almost brought out the yellow, but he's going to keep going. Yeah, let's take a quick replay of this one. It started with the car ahead of him. That was Borgman got loose, and then McGreevy got him.
Things are getting, well, they were getting tight for second. Oh, no, that was a lapped car. Excuse me. O'Neill now overtaking the lapped car of Ray Partridge. Already having to work their way around the slower cars. Will that maybe offer a chance for some of our drivers to get through? And Stacy is calling it a day. That damage looks to be terminal. I say that as he gets his spare car and comes out anyways.
Just decided to hop in the other car and go for it.
Hey, it's the A main. You know, this is whatever you can get out of it at this point. We look back at Bowman. Dakota as he runs up behind Ray Partridge, who is a lap down. The car he is actually chasing is about a second ahead. That would be Austin O'Neill.
God, it's hard to believe, but we're only 9 laps left to go in this race. Can anyone catch up with Cameron Dance? I don't think no one is. I think Christian is just content with finishing second for points, as a matter of fact, but anything can happen. But this is just a stellar performance by the Kiwi.
Exactly, and this is the most spread out racing we've seen of all the heats.
All night long, for that matter. Reynolds just sitting back there in 10th spot, cannot go anywhere.
Right now, Cameron Dance is saying, stay green, please stay green. He's got this thing locked up. The track's still in pretty good condition at this point. It's not too torn up from what we're seeing. As the Kiwi takes that orange and white machine, really takes it right up to the wall, though. My goodness, not afraid to just squeeze every ounce of speed out of this thing. Oh, we got a car. Oh, here we go. Caution is out. Borgman was on his lid. He got up into the Armco and he tried to collect it. And then the car of Brian McGreevy just plows into him.
And that's right in front of the leader. Just when you think he's home free, Cameron Hansen dances right around the cars in front. Look at this move. Woo! That's
McGreevy's for you.
Now we'll go on board with our leader.
Let's see what his view is like coming up to the incident. There you see it right there. Oof.
Oh, that's a clinching moment right there. Almost.
Bill, was that the Watusi or the monkey?
A little bit of the two-step, baby.
All right. Taylor, am I correct in thinking we're going to get a 2-lap shootout?
Possibly, if we are able to get these cars lined up as quickly as possible, we might have a 2-lap shootout or a green-white checkered at the least. So,
1 lap? Yeah. Are the lights on the pace truck?
let's take a look.
On,
lights are still on.
Okay, so 1 lap shootout. Whew, Bill, if you're Cameron Dance, are you sweating or do you think I got this?
I think Cameron's feeling pretty good right now. He's real. We saw him be really good on both of his starts. Are really good. I think he doesn't have to worry about it. I think the guy who's got to worry is Christian Challoner. He's got a bigger picture. He's thinking big picture. What he wants to do. Second sounds a lot better than, he would be 11th.
All right, we saw the lights go out on the pace truck. Almost 2 hours of racing tonight, multiple heats and alphabet soup, and it comes down to a single lap. Can Cameron Dance get on the power cleanly? Can he keep Christian Challoner at bay?
Watch out for Austin O'Neill in third. He's hungry and he's racing for fun.
All right, Cameron Dance, he doesn't wait at all. He gets on it immediately. This gives him a great gap through turn one. Challoner not looking at challenging him at all through turn two. Around the backstretch, Cameron Dance, he hasn't done many laps here today because he's made it sure that he doesn't need to.
Slide
Take the win.
Almost an excellent slide job from Dakota Bowman, though, but it looks like Austin O'Neill will hold him off for third position.
Great podium. Christian Challoner as well. He finds his feet on the dirt, but for championship implications, Blake Reynolds down in 8th today. That's going to lose him even more points to the man that is chasing him. So as the fireworks go off, we watch the cars sidle their way into the pit lane. We're going to go to break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews while our winner goes to victory lane. Welcome back to Knoxville, Iowa. We just watched the Knoxville Nationals for the majors presented by the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. And boy, was it some good racing we had out there. Now, the A-main definitely spread apart, but we saw dominance as Cameron Dance just streamed away from the field. He did get bunched up at the end with that caution that gave us a one-lap shootout. Challoner, unfortunately, couldn't make it up to him to try and take the win. I don't think Christian cares too much since he still finished ahead of his championship rival. Austin O'Neill is going to be taking third, with fourth bill going to Dakota Bowman.
Little Train, the California driver, Lionel Callisto, comes home in fifth position just ahead of JJ Johnson. Richard Hearn, that's Richie Hearn, he's going to be in, what would that be, 7th position there overall. He's ahead of Blake Reynolds. Now, notice Reynolds and Challoner. That's the difference in points between those guys going for the championship. Steve Driscoll, always fun to watch. He comes home in 9th. Travis Warling sits up in the points as well, rounds out the top 10.
Coming home in the 11th position is Ray Partridge. He'll finish 1 lap down along with Chris Borgman. Brian McGreevy had a little bit of a difficult night, but still came home in 13th position. And rounding out the rest of your field, James Stacy in that 0-2 and Bryce Roberts. Both of those guys, I feel sorry for, had excellent runs all night.
Stacy wins the mileage award, though.
He does.
That's
he
true.
does.
Went through a lot of gas in that car. Now, the driver who wins overall, Cameron Dance, is ready to talk to us in victory lane. The Kiwi only had to do his first heat and then the A main, and even that, he dominated it pretty well. Cameron, first of all, let's go to that last caution. Did that make you a little bit edgy, or did you feel like you had this under control when that happened?
It kind of did make it a little bit pressure filled. I didn't really expect the final caution, and when I saw how many laps to go, it was a bit of a, okay, we'll have to possibly throw a slide job or two. But no, it was a fairly clean race, pretty easy out front. So yeah, pretty happy to walk away and with the win and pretty much clean sweep, actually.
With you being the only dirt black stripe driver in this field, obviously you're pretty handy in the virtual world, as you've proven here in the majors. But what about the real world? Have you done any real world dirt racing?
I actually haven't. Probably the closest thing I've ever done to dirt racing would be wet weather racing and road racing when I was in karting, and when I've done Formula V stuff. So I haven't necessarily really done anything as far as dirt racing in real life, but it's just been something I've been really interested in ever since a young age, just going to local speedway or dirt tracks and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's really, really fun to do it virtually.
Now, coming over here to the Pacific split, have you been running over in any of the other splits during the majors? Because this is the first time I remember seeing you over here.
I did the Nürburgring round in the Atlantic region because I couldn't unfortunately make the Pacific. But for the most part, I've been Pacific throughout the entire series so far. So it's been quite good having the actual competition throughout the Pacific splits with all the different drivers. So yeah, it's been very, very actually great doing this series.
All right. Well, congratulations on your win. You showed some impressive form out there and proved that the boys down under can show us how to race over here in the States.
Yeah, thanks. I'd just also like to say a big shout out to the boys at TTL Esports for the hard work behind the scenes. I know the new build kind of threw things up in the air for a lot of us, but we managed to get it done. And also our sponsors, Hyperstimulator, Down Under Graphics, Asher Racing, and also Thigh Designs, and also you guys for the awesome broadcast.
Thank you very much. That was Cameron Dance, our winner overall here today. Up next, I believe Bill is with Christian Challoner, talking to our second place finisher. And is he our new championship leader, or is he still in second?
Don't think he probably got enough to get there, but it'll be close. But you know, he in the Copper World Classic in the Silver Crown cars, he won that one. Christian, you are not scared of getting dirty.
I was of this, actually. I was fully expecting this to be a horror round. I did way better than I expected in qualifying. I got really lucky. I was then kind of a bit mad I had to queue again, but I had some big help in the Discord from Eddie telling me what line I needed to run, because my first run wasn't so good. Second one was good enough, and then kind of spotted how the line was working out in the heat, got the pass, and then really from that point onwards, everything else pretty easy. I knew Cam was going to win. Like, he won his first heat, and I was like, he's starting ahead. I really had no chance of passing him, and I've raced him before in some other stuff, and I know that when he's hooked up in the car, you basically can't beat him. So, with this being like his deal, I was fully expecting to finish second after that. But if you'd have told me I could finish second when the night started, I would have taken that, like, no problem. I was worried I was gonna have to do what Vince did and come all the way through from like the F main or something.
Yeah, in fact, let's talk about that. We here on the GSRC, we have to talk the big picture. So we talked about Blake Reynolds having his issues and being back there. at least during the night, you're probably watching him progress, see what's going on there in the B main, and then do you keep an eye on him? Let me put it this way: are you thinking second place is good for me right now with Blake having trouble?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if Vince was still streaming at that point, but if he was, you could probably find the stream, and I'm asking like every 3 laps where he is. So, yeah, I mean that was really huge for our night, was when he got passed for that second spot in his heat, and I knew he'd have to go through the B main. And I mean, when you saw that, like that was the craziest thing with how. I mean, I knew the track was going to get really bad with those the last chance races running like all sequentially with no refresh. Because every practice session all week that's been, say, a 2-hour practice session, the thing's undrivable by the end. You literally, like, it's a fight keeping the thing in a straight line. It's just crazy. So if you saw a lot of the guys who came through from the very first one of those last chance races, they were doing a lot better than the guys who were running in the later ones, because it's such a culture shock when you've gone from your heat where it's basically just easy straight to B main, which is probably the worst track you've ever seen. So that was definitely huge when he got passed in that heat race. From then it was helpful.
That's some good information. That's a good interview. Thanks a lot, Christian. Good luck the rest of the way. We're running out of races, so no room for mistakes now.
Yeah, I'm 41 behind. I worked it out before I came in here.
Yeah, of course you did. All right, man. Good luck. We'll see you down the road.
Thanks.
Joe, you think he knows about the champ? You think the championship's on his mind?
Oh, he's counting it. He's got his socks off and he's doing the math. So, meanwhile, a driver who put his big boy shoes on is James Stacy and gave us quite a wow in multiple races today. Taylor's going to be talking about his climb through the alphabet soup.
Well, James, a stellar performance for you tonight, going pretty much from top to bottom, all over the place. We got to wonder, though, were you okay? Because it looked like the car was just all over the place.
Yeah, that final in the feature, it was just it was something else. But I'm just really happy that I had some really thick Hoosier tires on the outside. I think that kept me in the race more than anything else.
Yeah, stellar performance. What would you have to say was your most difficult of the heat races that you had to go through tonight?
I don't know. Starting from the back on each one of them and just progressing forward that's probably the biggest challenge there, and just staying out of trouble. So you guys probably saw in the broadcast, there's a few incidents in between, and just keeping the nose clean and just driving my line was all I could do. So yeah, all of it was just good fun out there.
Driving your line, you were driving 3 or 4 soup. Sorry, but man, you were left, you were right. Your car had a totally different look than the guys around you. You kind of know what I'm talking about?
If I'm going to be honest, I think the last few mains were starting to blur a little bit. I was starting to lose a little bit of focus there from driving so many laps.
Since you were left, you were right. The car was bouncing. Sorry, Taylor, to get in there.
No, that's okay.
When I said driving his line, that it was he was put on the show.
Yes, he was. And James, looking forward to always continue you through the rest of the season. Any other plans for you as far as with the dirt racing or even in the specific major series?
Well, I got signed on just a few days ago for Precision Motorsport, so I'm just happy that I can put on their colors and give you guys a good show, I guess. But nothing major, just trying to run my races and hopefully be there at the end just like today.
All right. Well, congratulations on your finish today, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks, guys.
That is James Stacy representing our sponsor here for the race, the National MS Society, of course. And one last interview that we've got before we go is Vince Laherbier. Vincent Laherbier, the Canadian, came in representing up north for us and actually doing pretty well, but just shy of the A main. Vince, since you got a 10th in the B main, are you pretty happy with that? You had to come a long ways to get there.
I don't think I put that many laps in a row in practice this whole week for this event, so I'm quite happy with being able to make it up that far. It was just absolute chaos out there. I mean, the track just got slicker and slicker, and the car was just undrivable by the last main there. So.
Now, that Workiva Kinetic team has quite a few guys that are able to put their heads together to help with setups, with strategy and everything. Did you have anyone with dirt experience on the team before you guys came in?
We got a couple guys. We have Eddie and Ernie are pretty good. They're a lot of help, giving us tips on where to drive and stuff as the track evolved and whatnot. So, and same with Christian too. He helped with, setup wise, and, while I was running those heats there, just, okay, do this now, change this, try this. And I tell you, I don't know how I survived. There's a couple times I went balls deep into the corners and passing people, and I don't know how I didn't get thrown over the fence at some points.
Well, it was exciting to watch. We talked to a lot of drivers after the Silver Crown who said they got bitten by the bug. They really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Dirt being not quite as popular as some of the other stuff, has this changed your mind a little bit? Do you think maybe you'll start getting a little dirty some more, or are you going to stick to pavement?
It's actually a lot of fun. The only problem is I'm only running a single screen, so it's really hard on dirt to with a single screen. And I'm telling you, with a single screen, I'm getting nauseous. So every heat that went on, I was getting worse and worse and worse. And I thought at the end I was just going to die. I thought I was going to throw up next to me. I felt so crappy.
Well, we're glad you made it through, and I'm sure whoever's there with you in the house is glad they didn't have to clean up a mess afterwards. Commiseration.
Well, that's what the wives are for.
Yeah. Commiserations that you didn't get to the A main, but still you gave us a lot to cheer for and an impressive drive.
It was a lot of fun, guys. Appreciate what you guys do. So thanks a lot.
That's going to be it for today. That's Vincent Laherbier, 10th in the B main. Unfortunately, is as high as Vincent could go. So with that, we are going to close up. Again, a big thank you to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society for both sponsoring the race, and thank you to the majors for bringing them on and bringing attention to this wonderful cause. Please, 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 if you can, give their website a look. It is nationalmssociety.org. Or if you have any questions and don't like the internet, you can contact them on the phone at 1-800-344-4867. Now, a big thank you goes to Mike Willett and his team of organizers behind the scenes, bringing this relatively complex race format up to onto air here today. And thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. You can see them listed on your screen. Additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Amjad Taylor, Bill, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget, if you head on over to our YouTube page, there's a big red button that says subscribe. If you click that, you won't miss a moment here on the GSRC. The next race, boy, you talk about culture shock. We're heading to Suzuka for the F1 car. That'll be for the Japanese Grand Prix. That's Sunday, September 30th.
Can we do heat races there too?
Oh, boy.
No?
Well,
you're talking about mayhem.
All right, keep going.
Yeah, let's put those cars on dirt. That'll be September 30th at 8:45 p.m. Eastern. Should be a good time. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.